That's the second time that's happened. I should turn off my phone before I stream. Oops. Oh well, I'm here now. Let us get this show on the road. I slept in because I was playing Super Mario Party all night. So let's get this party started. I'm kind of excited. I would have heard from one of these characters. I think their name is Boldir. So, obviously I'm going to do that one first. I mean, save it for last. But, blah blah blah, friendship blah. So, Stelsa Sezyat. I'm saying that Sezyat. It's a fun way to say that. Oh, it's raining. Okay, so turns out stealing a car was easily one of your better impulse decisions. You've gotten accustomed enough to its weird insides by now that the squishiness doesn't much faze you anymore. It still feels like the warm stomach of some giant creature, but you can actually find it kind of comforting. You can just let yourself get enveloped by the seat while the autopilot does its thing. Getting ferried through the streets of Alternia with your feet up on the dash sure beats endlessly pounding the pavement. Sometimes you even throw Serava Stream on your phone if you really want to get the chill vibe going. You're surprised that you haven't been caught yet, dastardly carjacker that you are, but maybe you're just a better thief than you've always thought. A possible career change to look into when, if, you ever get back to Earth. The downside is that it's a little difficult for you to further your goal of gathering. It sounds really loud in my ear, I don't know if it's very loud. Of gathering even more friendship from the inside of a vehicle. So you parked the scuttle buggy and exposed yourself to the menaces of the outside world once more. You're in what looks like some kind of residential neighborhood. It isn't as nice as the blue boat neighborhoods you've seen, but still nice enough for most of the apartment complexes to have imposing locked front gates and security drones. But of course you can't take a leisurely stroll on Alternia without something terrible happening. You aren't around here for very long before it starts raining. Shit, damn, and fuck. You've ditched the umbrella Torona had given you since it was heavy as a goddamn club, and now you're super regretting it. Running for shelter is all you can do, so you make a mad dash for one of the building awnings, huddling uncomfortably beneath it. The rain doesn't let up. You'll have to move soon. The security drones are beginning to look like they're planning on taking a few shots at you for motoring. You need to make a decision, and fast. Run back to the scuttle buggy. Try and get rid of the buildings. Let's run back to the car. It's parked a ways down the street, but if you run fast enough, you might be able to make it. You abandon the security of the metal awning, launching yourself back into the minor apocalypse that is regular Alternian weather. You should have been able to guess how this was going to go. The raindrops are too dense for you to successfully dodge them all, and your delicate human body wasn't built to withstand nuclear-ass rain. You probably would have better luck with the security drones. Well, that didn't work. Yeah, let me just acid rain myself to death. Whoops. Let's try that again. I kind of prefer, like, the bad ends that at least have something to do with the character, though. Because that was just like, oh, acid rain in Alternia. Okay. Try and get in one of the buildings. There's no way you're getting into any of these without a passcode. But wait, you think you see someone coming your way. Perhaps they'll be your knight in shining armor. So what you're telling me is that my appointment is cancelled. You're still some distance away, but she's looking right at you. You point at yourself questioningly, thinking she might be talking to you. But then you realize she's wearing a Bluetooth headset. Jeremy used to be so on the ball. Remember the time he gave me a full-prong beautifying procedure right after that high blood ripped his arm off? But now he can't bounce back from one little thresher in the abdominal sausages. What happened to the boy? He's losing his touch. Looks like she's coming back from a jog, if the running shorts are anything to go by. If she's at all bothered by the acid glancing off her skin, sending dozens of little firecracker sparks in their wake, she isn't showing it. She seems much more preoccupied by the harried conversation she's having on the phone. Most importantly, she's power walking to the entrance of this building, which must mean she lives here. This is your chance. You shuffle along under the awning, pressing yourself close to the side of the building bug-like. You sort of wish she had encountered you earlier when you were dodging rain like a rad action hero. Now you just sort of look cowardly and pathetic. Especially compared to her. She's striding along like absolutely nothing is going to get in the way of whatever business she's got going on, let alone a few paltry explosions. Actually, she's so focused on her call that she doesn't notice you until you're standing right next to her. Such an inconvenience. You can fully expect that I'll be taking my business elsewhere from now on. Oh my god, what do we have here? She transitions from hanging up the call to talking to you so quickly that it makes your head spin. Take this down. Strange little hornless creature, parked in front of home, very puny and scared looking. Can only be the alien everyone has been talking about. Such an opportunity can't go to waste, now can it? You're confused again, looking around to see who she might be talking to, but there's nobody else here. Maybe she's dictating notes to her phone? Look at you! We can't have you wandering around outside like this, darling, can we? Aren't you ravishing? Do give me the name of your stylist. So good to meet you. Here's my card. So her quirk is like Carcat screaming, but like she's just... Wait, hold on. She is a blood player, which is... Okay, that makes it funny then. The name is Stelsa Sezyat, Audit Terrorizer in training for the Alternian Empire. Nice to meet you. Let's walk and talk. You didn't realize that borrowed hoodie was that impressive of a look, but okay. She produces a business card with one hand and inputs some numbers into a panel with the other. You take the card. It's a struggle to process what she's saying, respond to her questions, and introduce yourself, all while experiencing the verbal equivalent of getting hit by a truck. How is it possible to talk so fast without taking a breath? You can barely get a word in edgewise. So she's a fast talker, eh? Oh, I'm a fast talker. I can do that. Stelsa continues chattering away as she steps inside and waves for you to follow her into the apartment building's elevator. You do. So tell me, do you run any businesses on your planet? If you do, I would be more than happy to offer my services. They are very efficient and affordable, I can assure you. All your legal and financial documents will be checked over in no time. I'll make sure everything is running in tip-top shape. I'm so happy to have run into you. Ever since Zizi told me she met you, I've been asking her to introduce me. It's so very important for a professional to continue growing her network, especially intergalactically. Don't you agree? She's still busy herself with her phone while talking to you, texting on a tiny keyboard now. The name Zizi doesn't ring any bells. You flip through the Rolodex in your brain, trying to remember. Have you really made so many friends that you're beginning to forget their names? You're a little impressed with yourself. It feels like only yesterday that you were crawling around in the basement of a murderess and getting stabbed in the shin with a screwdriver. Just a single friend to your name. Good times. You've come so far since then. It brings a single sentimental tear to your eye. Wait, Stelsa's own name finally starts to register. You've heard it before. This is Tizius's mate sprite, so she must be talking about Tizius. Murderous stabbing, very fascinating stuff, I'm sure. Yes, I'm referring to my darling Tizius, of course. You're at the door to her hive. She unlocks it, letting you both in. Come in, welcome to Sezyat. Make yourself at home so I can get you anything. Water, grub cake, my great sheet. I would love to continue our chat while I'm a little less sweaty. Also, acid wreaks absolute havoc on the skin. You know how it is. I'll just jump in the ablution trap for a minute. Please excuse me, I won't be long. I'm back to 2 shakes of a quackly skystrick evacuation pillow. Actually, you wouldn't know how it is, considering that a bucket load of acid falling on you would leave you either very injured or very dead, and she's already gone. So you're a little relieved. It's not that Stelsa isn't friendly. She's plenty friendly, and she just approaches friendship in a way that makes you feel a little like a line on her to-do list, like she's in a hurry to check off. A little bit. Alright, well, she seems like she wants you as some sort of work contact, not a friend. But that's okay. You've worn many hats in the pursuit of friendship. Clown cultist, impromptu shoes papper, murder accomplice, business associate is one of the tamer ones on the list. Now that you no longer have to keep up with her mile-a-minute conversation, you can take a proper look around her hive. So many things. Goodness gracious. She is a go-getter. You're not sure what's more perturbing, the sheer amount of pink that accosts your eyeballs, or the fact that everything is so painstakingly unorganized that it's making you a little uncomfortable. It's like you merely standing here is disrupting the careful order of the room. So I think it can be established that blood players just cannot chill. They have no chill. They have zero chill in whatever they're doing. Her shelves are crammed full of books, all neatly arranged according to topic, each topic displayed on a little label on the shelf. She also has a lot of posters featuring motivational slogans and a striking nature photography. The only normal-looking spot on the hive is a coffee table with a mishmash of personal belongings piled up on top of it, books, papers, a jacket. You think that might be a mug? None of these items strike you as being particularly Stelsa's style. The overall effect is that of a very pink, very neat office cubicle. You almost feel like you should start chugging mediocre coffee and complaining about how much you hate Mondays. So sorry to have kept you waiting. Stelsa reemerges, her hair wrapped in a towel. Wow, that was quick. Well, it's been a blast getting to know you. We should get lunch sometime. Keep the conversation going. I'll pencil you in, darling. But for now, I have a bit of a dilemma to deal with. That sounds worryingly like dismissal. You sneak a glance at the schedule on her bulletin board. It's a blaze of color, with barely any free slots. You don't have to be penciled in. You have no idea what she might be available next, and you need her sweet, sweet friendship now. Maybe whatever problem she is has something you can help with? Unless you're a ludicrously talented beautician, I think not. My usual place bumped me off their list, and right before a very important meeting, too. A girl has to look her best for these things to really knock their socks off. If I want to make arrangements at another salon, I shall have to move very fast, no time to waste. Who needs a beautician when you're around? You have absolutely no professional beauty experience, but Sarava did give you that crash course in crafting great looks. Stelsa is probably after a vibe that's a little less moisture wave, but you're sure you can whip something up. You tell her that you'll help her get ready instead, right here in her hive. Oh, how nice of you! I've never had a house call before. Let's do this. She leads you into the next room, rubbing her hair dry as she goes. There's a recruiter raccoon in one corner and a vanity in the other, with an array of poofs, brushes, and other mysterious implements spread out on the surface. Some of them are disturbingly pointy. Oh well, you'll be able to figure out what they're all for once you start using them. Stelsa takes a seat in the chair in front of the vanity, folding her hands primly in her lap. So, darling, what do you think we should do first? It's all up to you. Not this again. Why are you always making all decisions around here? What you wouldn't give to be able to force your own life choices off on random people you've just met. It would be refreshing. Polish the horn. You pick up a velvety piece of cloth, bringing it up to Stelsa's head. There's only one thing this can be for, right? Wait, what are you going to do with that? Polish your horns to an impressive sheen, of course. They'll be positively gleaming by the time you're done with them. She grabs your wrist with one hand before you can do so. She's deceptively strong, holding you in such an ironclad grip that you can't move your arm at all. You've been low-key admiring her toned arms earlier, but now you know for sure that the rack of hot pink dumbbells in the living room just aren't for show. Instead of looking pleased with what you proposed to do, she looks uneasy, perhaps even a little embarrassed. Polish my... You barely get a glimpse of her discomfited expression before she's gracing you with another friendly smile, albeit a bit of a strange one. You know what, I think I'm having second thoughts. It's reasonable to expect that an alien like you wouldn't know but the first thing about troll grooming habits. My mistake, I should have accounted for such cultural differences. But it's quite alright, I shall figure something else out. Is it just you, or there's a pointed pause before cultural differences? She's getting up again. Wait, what's happening? You thought the two of you were going to bond over a sweet makeover session, but she's pushing you back into the main area of her hive, pretty forcibly too. Thank you for offering me your help, dear. So very kind of you, but I'll manage. Great to meet you. You're wonderful. Call me. Take care. Have a nice day. Toodles. Goodbye. She shoots you another lovely yet very clearly fake smile and shoves you out the door. You'll be able to wait out the rain just fine in this hallway, but being sprawled on your ass in Stelsa's welcome mat all by your lonesome just isn't the same as hanging out with your new friend. Oh, game over. Nope. Oh, that was the bad end. Okay. So clearly, I think the next bad route is to be like, just, yeah, stay here and work on things. So why not use the extra time to do more prep for the meeting? That is an excellent idea. I visited this potential client's establishment a wipe ago, but it was a quick one. I could do well to cast my gadget's bulbs around the place properly. It's pretty much in the bag, but this meeting's the clincher, and there's no way I can flub it. Having Remley Namak as a client would be too good of a cluck-piece plume in my pan lid for me to chuck the opportunity in the load paper. Ooh. Remley, you totally know her. How about that? Yes, I would hope you did, darling. She's only been slashed all over the papers lately with that stunt of hers. Buying out her competitor like that, I've never heard the likes of it before. She's flitting around her hive as she speaks, nipping into what you assume is her bedroom to blow her hair dry before shuffling some papers into a handbag. You tail her as best you can, feeling a bit like a pet cat underfoot who's threatening to trip her at every turn. Maintaining a career as a successful yet relatively avant-garde artist is very different to assuming ownership of and managing a museum, and yet she has made it work. Wow, sounds like Remley has been busy since the last time we saw her. She clarified that Remley is a friend of yours, actually. Stelsa stops in her tracks. Really? Why didn't you say so in the first place? You should come with me. Getting the 411 on Remley from a friend of hers could really give me a frond up. What do you say? You're not sure there's much you can tell Stelsa about Remley. You're pretty sure Remley doesn't want an auditor in training, or, well, anyone really knowing that she's an art thief. But, why not? There has to be some strange info about Remley knocking around in the old noggin that might come in useful. Marvelous. Come on, you can tell me on the way. She takes your hand and pulls you out the door. You offer Stelsa a ride with your totally not stolen scuttlebuggy. It's still raining, but she shields you both with an umbrella that's almost as big as you are as you walk to where it's parked. You get in, put some tunes onto the road, and head off. Once you're underway, you admit to Stelsa that most of your and Remley's conversations just involve her bouncing ideas off of you for her webcomic, but you're still happy to answer any questions she might have about Remley's overall deal. You're expecting her to be disappointed, but her eyes practically light up. What a privilege! To be completely truthful, I'm quite the fan. I have been following her webcomic for a while. She admits this kind of sheepishly. Does she think that liking comics is embarrassing? Of course not. Okay, maybe a little. It seems irresponsible to spend time on something as flippant as a comic on the internet when I have so much other business to attend to. Lots of irons in the fire over here. Achievements don't have to do themselves, you know. Maybe, but hobbies and downtime are important too. You never feel more nested than after you've let yourself do absolutely nothing but enjoy a good comic. What? She looks at you blanking. You know, rest. Oh, I always make sure to get enough recuperation every day. No concerns there, to be sure. What you're talking about is a bit different from getting enough sleep, but you try a different tack. Why is she taking this job with Remley anyway? Isn't she busy enough with her training? Well, sure, I have that internship with the Alternate government as well, but there can never be enough experience under one's belt. You're beginning to see what the problem is. You get the feeling that Stelsa might be a bit of a workaholic. Just vaguely. Has she ever considered... You're so involved in trying to convince Stelsa of the merits of getting her chill on that you don't realize there is anything wrong. Not until Stelsa lets out a screech that almost bursts your eardrums. Fiddlesticks, we can't go this way. There's road work happening here. The scuttlebuggy must be operating with an outdated map. Switch it to manual and turn us around. Quick, quick! The roadwork Stelsa is referring to is a bridge with a "Do Not Enter" sign hastily put up. Beyond the sign, the bridge is peppered with enormous holes. Some look big enough for the entire car to fall through easily. What are you waiting for? Hurry! Well, there's one small problem. You can't drive. Oh, fudge nuggets! Stelsa presses a few buttons, switching the controls to manual. You grab the wheel, turning it wildly. Your only goal is to make sure you don't drive onto the death bridge. You probably should have paid attention to the steep slope curving away from the road. You both yell as the scuttlebuggy neumes downward at full tilt. Miraculously, it doesn't tip, but it does slam into a power line, sending the two of you lurching forward. If it wasn't for that unnerving lung-like airbags that inflate in front of you, you would have shot out the front window. Anxiously, you ask if Stelsa is okay. Stelsa doesn't seem too concerned about whether she's injured or not. She's making a futile attempt to push the airbags out of the way so she can get out of the car. There's no way we'll make my meeting on time now, and I look an absolute mess. She's right. Her hair, which was all gentle, soft tusk before, is sticking up in all directions, and her glasses have smashed into the collision. Why did I think this was a good idea? I should have just walked. Thanks for nothing. The car might have survived the crash, but if Stelsa's cranky expression is anything to go by, your budding friendship with her wasn't as lucky. So many of her bad ends are just her angrily storming off. Okay, let's pretty you up, girl. Professional beautician in the house, don't worry. Alright, buildings. Let's get you prettied up. And we're gonna style your hair. The first order of business should be drying Stelsa's hair. You pick up a funnel-shaped doohickey that looks like it might be a hairdryer, fumbling around for the button. There isn't one, but you manage to turn it on by giving it a good squeeze. The mouth of the funnel opens up wide, emitting a hot blast of air along with a hoarse animal yell. You think you might actually see teeth inside? Just don't think about it too much. That's the best you can come when it comes to literally any Alternian gadget. Thankfully, the noise soon fades to a low hum. Here, use this. Stelsa passes you a piece of thorny bramble. It looks painful, but when you begin brushing Stelsa's hair, she sighs happily. Interesting being in this position for once. When Tizius is over, usually I am the one doing this. You try to imagine Tizius letting someone give her a sweet due, and even when it's her girlfriend in question, you have a hard time picturing it. Stelsa laughs. She has a surprisingly pretty musical laugh. No. My dear Zizi isn't one for her involved beauty rituals. She usually doesn't let me do more than just brush it, but it's still relaxing. Sliding the brush through Stelsa's hair is pretty relaxing. You allow yourself to zen out for a moment before shaking yourself out of it, casting around for something to talk about. That's what good hairdressers do, right? Strike up casual conversation? Your eyes fall on an open book sitting on the table. It's the only object that doesn't have anything to do with hair or beauty, so it stands out like a sore thumb. Just like the items on the coffee table, it's strewn too haphazardly to look like it belongs to Stelsa. You think you could see some of the tabs Tizius was using on the notes for her group project? And if you look even closer, you think you catch the words Revolt and History in the page header? Right, as Tizius makes for it, Stelsa probably has big plans for dismantling the system from the inside too, after she becomes an auditor. You remark that you think it's really cool what she and Tizius are doing. It might be scary to stick it to the man like that, but someone has to do it. Okay, it's not exactly a light conversation, but talking to Tizius about this has been so enlightening, if sad, and you really bonded over it. Maybe you'd be able to bond with Stelsa the same way. But Stelsa only looks confused. Then her eyes flick down to the book just for a second before she reaches out, smartly snaps it shut, and squirrels it away in one of the drawers. The sound of the drawer slamming makes you jump, and you narrowly avoid pulling Stelsa's hair. I'm quite sure I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not sticking anything anywhere. Definitely not to any man. And neither is Tizius. She's sitting straight and tense in the chair now, her voice soaring to a high, bordering on hysterical pitch. Oh no, she probably doesn't know you're on their side. Tizius might not have told you about your conversation. It's okay, you're not going to tell anyone. You're sworn to secrecy, but Stelsa averts her eyes, a stubborn set down her chin. Again, I have no idea what you're talking about, not a single clue. Tizius and myself are both law-abiding subjects of the Empire. We don't dabble in such foolish things as sympathizing with rebels. What would that possibly accomplish? She wrings her hands distractedly. We do things the way we do on Alternia for a reason, darling. Without the Hingle Spectrum and the roles we each need to play, why, the world would be plunged into complete chaos. Can you even imagine? Trolls running around not knowing which way is up, doing whatever they please, and no one to tell them what their place in the world is. She goes from hand-wringing to gesticulating wildly, almost knocking a row of jars off the table, positively frantic at the prospect of societal breakdown. It's better for everyone this way. I truly believe that. You're beginning to realize that you might have put your foot in your mouth, just a little bit. Stuffed a toe or two in that gob of yours, maybe. She sounds way too earnest for this to be a cover-up. Could it be possible that Stelsa really does side with what Tizius called her the Condense? And that she doesn't know about Tizius' underground research after all? But the book was right there. You're so confused. Talking about this is clearly distressing Stelsa, though, so you drop it, focusing on finishing up her hair instead. It's pretty soft now that it's dry, but you're not sure you've styled it correctly, but she seems pleased. Great work. Nice. Fantastic. You did an excellent job. You glow at the praise. You've said thanks, but she's already passing you a bottle of nail polish. She really wants you to go all the way, huh? You twist it open and get to work. You're too focused on not smudging the teal color over the stately points of her claws to talk, but Stelsa breaks the silence. I have a question for you. You nod, sticking your tongue out in concentration. So I have this acquaintance. This is the most tentative you've ever heard her so far. You weren't sure her vocal cords were capable of it. They are in a quadrant with someone who harbors views most would consider subversive, if not outright treasonous. She's obviously talking about herself and Tizius, but you don't want to get that. But you don't want to point that out in case she gets upset again, so you just nod along thoughtfully. She didn't always. The maid's bit, I mean. It will blow over at some point. She must just be going through a difficult phase. But in the meantime, she could get into oh so much trouble. Stelsa's lower lip wobbles like she's about to cry. You chew on the inside of your cheek, trying to figure out what to say. Talking to Tyzius very much did not leave you with the impression that it was a phase. She sounded pretty serious. Does Stelsa's friend have any idea that this is going on? She looks in the drawer. So do you. Nope. You resist the urge to massage your temples. No idea at all? Absolutely not. Alright, okay, you can do this. A good first step might be for her friend to face up to the issue. You know, if there's the chance they have the tiniest inkling about what might be happening, so the two of them can talk about it. Talk about it? Yeah, you're no expert, but open discussion probably helps with relationship problems quite a bit. Plus, you ruminate to yourself, the more you think about it, the less it seems that Tyzius leaving her controversial book out like that was an accident. It was right in front of Stelsa's chair, after all. Maybe Tyzius wanted Stelsa to see it. You'd slicked the last bit of color onto Stelsa's pinky claw a while ago, but you're both too wrapped up in the conversation to suggest that you move on to something else. She lets the polish dry while the two of you continue to talk. But my friend does not agree with her mate's sentiments. Discussing it would just cause unnecessary friction, wouldn't it? Maybe, but even so, addressing the issue is probably better than pretending it isn't there. Besides, quadrupeds can coexist regardless of differing beliefs, right? Yeah, you don't sound convincing even to yourself, but the platitudes seem to comfort Stelsa somewhat. Maybe you're right. Carefully, mindful of her just-dried nails, she wipes away a few tears, much to your horror. What did I do? Close the menu. Was it the wrong thing to say? But then you notice that she's smiling. I have not spoken about that to anyone before now. Telling you about it was truly a load off my Bellasac cavity. I am certain my friend will be grateful as well. I shall relay your advice accordingly as soon as I can. You smile back at her weakly. You haven't been able to relate very much when it comes to Alternian life, but boy, you can relate to a relationship drama, and trolls sure seem to have plenty of it. And you hope everything turns out alright for her friend. Since her voice is all sniffly and her eyelashes still wet, you retrieve a frilly box of hand tissues and hold it out to her, hoping that will help. She pulls out a few and blows her nose on them with a sad honking noise. I should finish getting ready. She seems reluctant to get up, though. You'd probably be the same, knowing you had to head into a serious business meeting after spilling your heart like that. Experiencing emotions is tiring. Eventually, though, Stelsa musters up enough energy to get to her feet. Much to your surprise, instead of immediately rushing off to complete her next pre-meeting task, she pulls you into a tight hug. Thank you. You're a real friend. And there it is. Not colleague, not potential client, but a wonderful friendship word. Yay, we're friends. How lovely. Okay, so for her character, most of that was like intense, does not have any chill blood player. She seems very stringent about like rules and roles in society and that kind of thing, though, considering her concerns with the other troll. It almost feels weird that my first idea for her is a Knight of Blood because, like, she has Karkat's quirk and everything, so maybe that's a hint as well, but that seems almost too on the nose. But it could be an idea of a clue of a character who has, like, shares the same class spec, but just has different points of view and, like, you know, just is a different character despite the similarities. And I do like that idea. So right now my idea for her is actually of a Knight of Blood. Didn't think I would say that, because as soon as I saw the quirk, I'm like, there's no way she's a Knight of Blood. But, like, she might actually be a Knight of Blood. She's very good at putting up that front of, like, I'm the businesswoman, I do the thing. If I had to think of another class she could possibly be... She seems... It's not that it's controlling either, it's just that everything is sort of swept behind her in her tornado. It seems chaotic, but she has everything under strict, stringent control, like schedules, you know, like the hardworking businesswoman, essentially. So maybe a witch? Definitely something active in nature. Not passive for sure. So I'm like, I don't know, I just feel strongly like the Knight of Blood actually might be the fit here, like the intended thing. But I'll put a side note that, like, Knight or witch, potentially, of blood. I think it's a redraw of that Gamzee Diamonds Karkat panel. Cute. Okie dokie. Alright, now let's go on to the fun one that I've heard things about. Not that that wasn't fun. But apparently we get, like, meta stuff with this route, which is cute considering the swirly question mark. Boldir Lamati. You just aren't feeling it today. You're getting more and more of these grey nights recently. Nights where the call of the streets, that infinite ramble for companionship, just sounds exhausting and meaningless. You've had days like this back on Earth too, when getting out of bed just didn't seem worth it. The sun is beginning to slip under the horizon, and usually this would be the sign to rise and shine, or rise and dark. But you're all managed to do so far this evening is make yourself some coffee. You've recently mentioned to Tagora that you drink instant, and he was so disgusted that he gave you a coffee machine. He claimed it was an old one he doesn't use anymore, but it still had the price tag on it. On the table sits a palmhusk Konoha taken off a dead kid especially for you, and cradled in your hand is a mug Skillicent. It looks like she painted it herself. There's a white blob on one side that you think is supposed to be Lady. You're even wearing the hoodie Malik gave you to cut the evening chill. Here you are, wrapped up in the warm embraces of your friend's goodwill, safe and sound, but deep inside you festers something, a gnawing existential dissatisfaction, that classic angst that philosophers wrote about. Your palm husk chimes and you pick it up lazily. What, another rando trying to slide into your DMs? Sorry, folks. You just don't have the time for that anymore. You are a friendship connoisseur, a sommelier of the rarest of amicable vintages. You unlock the screen to find a message. Psst. I'm not certain that this line is secure. I like this music, though. I'm going to turn that up a bit. Actually, I'm positive that it isn't, but I'm risking contact because it's imperative that we speak. I'm sending you rendezvous coordinates. If you wouldn't mind coming any time after the sun has set? Psst, I realize that this is unorthodox, but please believe me when I tell you this is not a trick or a trap. I have important information regarding your place in Alternia. You attempt to reply to the message, but there isn't a cursor or anywhere to input text. In fact, there doesn't even appear to be a messenger app open on your phone. It's just a random text box floating in the void. You barely have a chance to read it all the way through before it vanishes, and Google Maps opens with an address already programmed in. It's close enough to walk to, which is great, but because using your stolen scuttlebuggy still makes you a little bit nervous. You swallow the rest of your coffee and grab your shoes. Your GPS leads you to a shop you recognize. It's the cafe with your weird sort of date with Lanera. It's not too crowded at this time of day. The usual studying crowd doesn't appear to be here. A couple trolls are sitting around sharing pots of tea. Fool. Fucking idiot. I explicitly stated I wanted essence of Dayglow, not whatever this garbage is. Oh, you know this person. It really has been a minute, hasn't it? Ardata stands in front of the counter, shouting at the cash register. Whatever automated system runs the shop has apparently gotten her order wrong. What are you looking at? This is absolutely none of your... Oh, it's you. Ardata swiftly covers up her surprise, examining a sharp, perfectly shaped nail. You look different. Better? Let's not exaggerate. I simply meant you look less like toxic waste and more like run-of-the-grain gardener garbage. You tell Ardata that it's good to see her too. Man, this really takes you back. You've been so simple back then, so unevolved. You were laser-focused on a single desire, friendship. Now, well, you still like friends, you really do. But you also have, like, a car and a sweatshirt with somebody's sign on it. You've moved up in the world. Fascinating. Oh, by the way, is she the one who summoned you here? Summoned? You? You must be joking. I haven't spared a single solitary thought for you since you dragged your wretched carcass out of my hive. Absently, you push your hand into the pockets of your hoodie, something crinkles between your fingers, and you pull out a folded piece of notebook paper. Okay, this definitely hadn't been in there when you left your hive. You'd passed a couple people on the street, but you definitely don't remember that any of them getting close enough to slip something in your pocket. Huh. It only says 2 words. Out back. Oh man, should you go? Go, go, go! Backyards are as bad as basements, no way. Okay, listen, you've done some pretty dumb stuff since you crash-landed here, for instance following the woman standing in front of you into her basement, but not this time. Nice try, Catfisher. Important correspondence? Nah, you crumple the page up in your hand. Nothing that can't wait. Good, impeccable timing, just what I was hoping you'd say. Friend blocked. Oh, goodness. Yeah, Ardata's scary as fuck. I'm pretty sure she was the one that, like, had you in the basement doing those weird, like, videos. Those were fun. It's fun to voice her, though, admittedly. Alright. Go, go, go! Let's be real here. If you were ever to refuse a suspicious invitation, you would have done it by now. You would have drawn the line at vehicle theft or murder church or anime club. You can't resist a social engagement. You're tragic flaw. Okay, I guess. Enjoy yourself. You head back through a beaded curtain, half expecting an alarm to ring. How do they keep people from just robbing stores here? Are there, like, lasers and shit? You emerge into a tidy little back garden. None of the plants here are ones you recognize from Earth, but it's still nice. You cross a bridge over a slow-flowing stream and find yourself looking down a path that balloons into a tight, dizzying spiral. Maybe you're supposed to walk across it and ponder your place in the universe? That's a really neat callback. I'm gonna make mention of that. Boldir calls you to a symbolic representation of Calliope's spiral in the void. And Boldir is kind of the voice that calls out to you from the void. Oh my god, we're actually getting into actual Homestuck stuff. This is exciting. Your contemplation would be inevitably cut off before it hits its climax because someone is sitting at the center of the spiral. Perfect. She is a small, compact shape with her hair cut short and choppy around her chin, wearing a shapeless white dress, really more of a robe. Psst, I've been waiting for you. Thanks for coming. She speaks in a stage whisper, low and full of air, but still loud enough to hear across the path. You pick your way carefully across the spiral, making sure not to mess any of it up, treading only inside the lines. The girl gives you a small, secretive smile. My name's Boldir. You ask her if this is her garden. Does she live here? It's nice, but it's not exactly out of the elements. Actually, it looks like there's some storm clouds rolling in. You're probably going to get rain soon. Oh yeah, my recuperacoon is there, over there under that tree. She smiles again, and you can't tell if she's messing around. In fact, if she is entirely unreadable. Like her face is like a totally reflective surface, and all you're seeing is the cloudy sky in the garden. You can't tell how she feels about you at all. Would you like to sit down? Inside the circle, or? She looks like she's only just realizing that she's the center of a complicated geometric pattern. It doesn't matter. I only wanted to see if you would follow the path or trample through it. But you didn't either. You forged your own way while taking care to preserve what has come before. You ask her what that means. Maybe nothing. I'm not sure. The wind across her hair and the clouds chase each other across the sky. If the rain comes, it will come soon. Boldir continues to look at you as you shift awkwardly and shiver, pushing your hands into your hoodie. This is different than any other friend meetup you've had, even with the others who purposefully sought you out. There's a serenity to Boldir that all the rest lack, or maybe that's just the zen as fuck garden getting to you. You try to remember that Boldir said to you in the message that she somehow managed to make appear on your phone and then immediately self-immolate, that she has some information for you about your place on Alternia or some shit like that. Did I say that? I guess I did. I suppose I wanted a chance to talk to you a bit before the end. It was starting to feel a little, jealous maybe? Right, you guess everyone has been going on about the funny dumb alien robot who's been prowling the countryside. No, that's not it. Though I'm sure you're very funny. I just wanted a chance to talk to you, someone who is so drift in the swell of fate and the whims of the paradox. Paradox? You don't know anything about paradoxes. Well, you know what they are, you just don't see why they're relevant. They aren't. Paradoxes aren't relevant by their very nature. It's the essence of that nature that makes them so integral to this story. You shake your head. You're not built for this cosmic stuff. You're just an orphan from Earth with quick fingers for spaceships and apparently vehicles. Boldir gives you another sly smile. Oh, quick fingers? You blush. You hadn't meant that as a dirty joke or anything. Also, your fingers are nowhere near as quick as hers. She somehow got a piece of paper in your pocket while you were standing in the cafe, and she was back there. That's like reverse pickpocketing through astral projection. Boldir laughs. She stands up and moves across the garden path, following the spiral so swiftly and efficiently that she might as well be floating. She drifts over to one of the trees, pulling a coat down from where it's slung over a branch. It covers her from chin to ankles, coming together to form an olive green symbol on your chest that looks like a question mark without the dot. A broad brim hat finishes out the ensemble. Well, I can't teach you astral projection, but pickpocketing is actually quite simple. Would you care to learn? Ideally, we need a third person to act as the mark, but I think we can make it work. More crime, huh? Sure, let's do crime. No more crime, please. You've already got a hell of a rap sheet. Maybe it would be best not to add any new skills that could lead you into temptation. Fair enough. Would you care to go for a stroll? It'd be a nice night. It's a windy and settled night, and it looks like rain. You suppose that's nice, depending on your definition. You'd absolutely love to take a stroll. That's your whole vibe recently, strolling. You follow her out the little back gate and into the street. You leave the cafe behind and are quickly consumed by the drift of the midnight crowd. You brace for the inevitable pitying, hostile looks that you get whenever you go in public. You should have mentioned that you try to avoid large groups, but strangely no one even glances at you. It's like Boldir exudes a sneaky aura that encompasses the both of you. Yeah, remember what those things I said about void and voidy things? Despite being a harp player, like she has the sign of a harp player, Boldir here has some voidy things about her, which is interesting. Oh god, it's like Equius and Nepeta's like love child. As you walk, you ask her if she really believes in fate, like, the two of you were always going to meet and nothing could have happened any differently no matter what you did. Boldir gives you a thoughtful sidelong glance. Well, that would imply that none of our choices matter and that causality is inevitable. That randomness is irrelevant. Right? Sure? You scaper to keep up with her both physically and mentally. For someone who asked you to take a stroll, she sure is booking it down the street. But that disregards our choices. Fate dictates that all possibilities are, by their very nature, necessities. Or rather, the choice you made was the only one you ever could make. I doubt that universe is that simple. Doesn't sound simple to you, but you hum and nod sagely because you want Boldir to think you're deep. Instead of asking yourself whether you meant to meet me and meant to be here, it makes more sense to wonder what the forces are that have conspired to bring it into being. Well, that would be exhaustion and ineptitude. You don't exactly remember what happened, but you sure it involves something stupid like falling asleep at the wheel and drifting off into another solar system? It had been a rough 48 hours, you know, a lot of escaping and running and punching and stealing of high-powered vehicles. Yes, of course. I understand. All in a day's work. She stops you at the most intersections so she can take surreptitious glances around the corner before gesturing you forward. Every so often she will turn the two of you around to double back. You aren't sure exactly why? Maybe she thinks you're being followed, but who would follow you from a cafe? All sorts. But don't worry. I know how to shake off a tail. You cross one of the main thoroughfares and a big black bird swoops at your heads. You yelp and duck, but when you look around you see that the bird has landed on Boldir's arm and she's stroking its back. A blackbird, eh? You brace yourself for it to start talking or some shit like that, because that's just what your life is like now. But it just sticks its leg out for Boldir to remove a scrap of paper. I thought almost all, wildlife and nature on Alternia was white. Or is it just Lucises that are white? It waits patiently for her to read the message and then scribble something to the back before attaching it to the crow and throwing it back into the air. Man, that's some Harry Potter-ass shit. One of my informants wants to rendezvous in meat space. Unusual, but it has been an unusual day. Unusual couple of months, honestly. Yes, of course. You've had it much harder than I have. What was I thinking? Well, you weren't trying to get into a contest of whose life sucks more, but yeah, it's been rough. You appreciate that she can see that. Of all the plants to be forced to, Alternia is, well, not ideal. Not the worst, but you still have my sympathies. Is there anything at all you like about it? What, about Alternia? Well, you're kind of digging through this whole night as day thing. You're from a diurnal species, but you've always been a bit of a night owl. Also, not to brag, but you've made some seriously cool friends. Yes, I've been following your exploits. Your friendship acquisition procedures are really quite impressive. Oh, now you're blushing. You asked Boldir how she knows that much about your exploits, because it's only pretty recently that you've had any sort of real social media presence. You suppose she did have a Gorgor alert like Malad did, but... Also, quick thought hold, she's almost certainly a mage. Almost certainly. The way that she seems to be, you know, like, knowing things that she couldn't possibly know, which is, like, kind of the key phrase of mage, as well as, like, she did mention, like, one of her informants wants to meet her in meat space. So physically, instead of, I assume, and guess, psychically or mentally, which is also something a mage would have sort of, sway over. I'm not sure about the connections to Void. Mages don't seem inherently voidy, except for that whole, like, knowing things that shouldn't be known, having answers to things that shouldn't be answerable kind of way. Quick, around here. I mean, the question mark is by nature itself spirally and voidy, but could also work as something connecting to a mage. Boldir leads you to a deserted lot between two buildings. There's nothing here except some broken bottles and a pile of old rubble tires. She leaves you behind the tire pile to keep watch, though she's probably just doing it to get you out of the way, which fair. Then she heads out into the center of the lot, presumably to wait for her contact. You sit here twiddling your thumbs, trying to suppress the desire to pull out your phone. That doesn't seem very covert ops. You're just starting to get really antsy, jittering your leg and cracking your knuckles and digging a little hole in the dirt with a stick, when you hear something strange beneath the wind, a swish followed by a thunk. Boldir jerks and clutches your neck. You writhe up from your rubber pile, sending tires flying. You wildly look up at the surrounding buildings, trying to find where that projectile came from. You don't see anyone, not even a lone gunman. You run for your new friend, not spending a thought for your own safety. The clouds move overhead like someone has put them on fast forward, the wind rattling the trash on the pavement. By the time you reach Boldir, she's begun to twitch in hard spasms. One look at the blotchy stains spreading across her neck, and there's no doubt. You both say it at the same time. Poison. You fall to your knees beside her. Oh god, what are you supposed to do? You don't know anything about poison or first aid or anything else useful? God, why are you such a fucking waste of space? You could have just been getting... That's another... I don't know why, but, like... That was, like, Hussey's, like... That was, like, his joke aspect that he mentioned in the comic, a waste of space. That's just really interesting that they're bringing that up now. You could have been gaining some life skills instead of just loafing around like a complete idiot, you. Heh. Funny how they're mentioning life skills when, like, they're talking about healing from poison. They're trying to really, like, hey, life powers. You heal people. So, okay. All of these things with the, I can see your question here. I had troubles figuring your class out. I was just trying to see how it related to heart. So she is a heart player. What I can suggest here is that she seems intrinsically tuned to the nature of people and their choices. She was talking earlier about how fate is sort of designed by the way people feel, by the way people move, by the way people decide to make their choices. So she's very in tune to the, well, why does that happen? what makes people who they are? What are those forces and those things that force people to make choices this way or the other? Rather than thinking of your choices as inherently belonging to fate or destiny, like a time player kind of maybe would, or no, sorry, a space player. She's more focused on like, well, what if there's more ways than one? What if there's more things that you could have chosen or could have done or this way and that, depending on how you had grown as a person, depending on how your heart had developed. That's, I think, kind of the angle where Boldir is coming from when she's talking about all these things, and I think that's where her aspect comes into play. So she's more focused on, like, what are the forces that make people who they are, that make people make the decisions that they make, that kind of thing. Rather than trying to understand, like, who a person is inherently by nature, she's more interested in how they got there. Stop, don't. There isn't time. This stuff acts fast. Boldir takes hard, gasping breaths between each word. Her eyes are going cloudy. She makes a desperate grab for your hands. Listen. For the first time, her voice rises above a whisper. Her grip is surprisingly strong. You tell her to save strength, but she shakes her head so hard that her hat falls off. I'm not important. You tell her to stop being dramatic. Of course she's important. I'm not being dramatic. Well, maybe a little because I'm dying. But still, remember what I said about fate? Fuck fate. You don't want anything to do with it if this kind of shit is going to pull on you. So many of your friends have died because of you, because of your incredible inability to... The world twists and stutters. Your guts are a record, and that record is skipping. For a moment you're sure that whoever that poison-shooting bastard is has shot you too, but then your vision clears and you feel the rain on the back of your neck, the world rolling back to you in waves of color and sound. The dark sky splits open on a fault line of lightning. Boldir's hand goes limp on your own. With shaking fingers, you reach out to touch your motionless cheek. Fuck. Fuck. Not again, why? An uncontrollable wave of despair washes over you as you look down at the corpse of this girl you barely know. Where are all these feelings coming from? I did that again. So for some reason, she is so, like, really into the void. Almost literally everything she says has some connection to the void. Yeah. Yeah, I was exactly thinking about Dave Pita when I was saying all that stuff. That's exactly it. A lot of people think Dave Pita, like, is inherently, like, meta, like, awareness, that kind of thing, just comes from his nature as a time player, but it really also comes from his nature as a heart player, too. There's honestly too many of them. Why are they... Oh dear. You just have to put little X's over her eyes. Dead. Again? Must I do everything myself? Oh, that was an interesting little piece. We never gotten a text box after the end card. Oh, I gotta write that down. Again, must I do everything myself? Okay, so there definitely is some ties and connections here between the cherubs and potentially Doc Scratch there at the end. He didn't speak in white text because I'm not sure if, like, Hiveswap can be programmed to, like, highlight the... You can't highlight the text boxes. So it's not like... But yeah. Let's see here. She is definitely, like, heavily intertwined in the natures of time and, like, space and void and, like, all these aspects and stuff. Like, there's all kinds of things going on with her, for sure. Like, but in the sort of the same way that Calliope had all those, like, ties to void as well. Yeah, I just saw that comment. I actually think each bad route has actually happened and, like, there's a time reset or something. I think that's the way it's happening, too, because in other routes, you'll reference things that only happened in bad routes. So I think someone is specifically, like, messing with time here, potentially Doc Scratch. There was also that mention of, like, as soon as Boldir got hit by the poison, they mentioned the clouds seemed to be fast-forwarding to make the rain start happening faster. So someone is messing with times here, and no, I just clicked something. How do I get rid of that? Oh, shit. Sorry, I just messed something up in my chat. Hold on. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, whoever did that to. I clicked on something and I can't get rid of it. You're unbanned. I meant to click on your message there. Sorry. Oh, did I just refresh the... Oh, shoot. Whoever just messaged things in the last, like, 20 seconds, just send it again because I think I just refreshed my stream chat. Sorry. I'm misclicking on things, that's my bad. But no, I agree with the essential concept that there's a timeline here and that's being reset and that there's memories being preserved over the timeline. Yeah, that was my bad, I just misclicked on something. Okay. Let's go down here. Back here, go. And sure, let's do crime. This whole mess started out with the theft of a spaceship, and if Boldir's right about all that fate horseshit, that was supposed to happen, so maybe you'll lean into it. Perfect. The first and most important aspect of the art of pickpocketing is staying unobtrusive. You think about mentioning that walking around in a great big coat and floppy hat is not the most unobtrusive thing you've ever seen, but you aren't the expert here. Also, you're an alien, so you don't really have room to talk. Maybe you just get a big coat like that yourself. You love ripping looks off all the time. You just love ripping looks off of all your friends. Boldir takes you through the basics of criminal sleight of hand, and on the whole, you aren't too bad. In fact, you think you might have a future in it if you weren't already on the career path of professional friendshipper. You don't know what this has to do with her learning about you or teaching you about your place on Alternia, but it's fun and Boldir is a good teacher. If there's one thing this journey has taught you, it's that when something isn't actively painful or destructive, just ride it out. You don't think you'll be going around pickpocketing many trolls, enough of them already want to kill you, but it's good to have this skill on reserve if you ever need cash fast and don't feel like hitting up any of your rich friends. Huh. All the endings were canon. Okay, cool. Cool. That kind of, like, solidifies it then. You wonder if Boldir uses it for anything besides passing notes. Psst, my sources tell me you've been on Alternia for almost 3 paradries now. You have no idea how long a paradry is, but what the hell, sure. Impressive. No wonder. She trails off thoughtfully and shakes her head. You wish she would say something with some substance to it instead of some just vague nonsense. But at least she isn't threatening you with violence or trying to stick wires into you, so you're counting this interaction successful thus far. Also, you feel really chilled out with Boldir. Sure, you want to be friends, but there's none of that stomach-churning, spine-bending desperation to make sure she likes you at whatever the cost. You feel more awake than you have in weeks. Man, you've got to learn to pickpocket in a garden behind a cafe more often if this is what it does to your stress levels. Wanted to get something to eat? Or maybe just coffee, because that's what they serve here. Sure, you could use another caffeinated beverage on top of the other caffeinated beverage you had earlier. Why not? You'll sleep when you're dead. If only. You follow her out the garden and back into the cafe. Who is this now? Yet another friend? Oh, Ardata, you're still here. Of course I am, fool. You were back there for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Wow, it felt way longer than that. Guess you underestimated the power of a good training montage. You introduce Ardata to Boldir with the cheerful earnestness of someone who has forgotten the systematic classism of the planet on which they currently reside. Ardata stops you with an aristocratic sneer. Stop, before I'll have to stop you myself. I have absolutely no desire to mix in with those so low on the social ladder. What in the world could she have to offer me? You shrug, you're not sure. Maybe friendship? You know, friendships between people of different castes are possible. You've seen them happen. Regardless, you feel bad for exposing your newest friend to the vaguely nonsensical abuses of your oldest. You turn back to Boldir to apologize and find her gazing coolly at Ardata like she could do it all night. There's none of the fear or reverence or false obedience you've seen other lower bloods display to blues. Instead, Boldir looks at Ardata like she's a bug. Worse, a pebble that she could just love to kick out of the way. Psst. Nice to meet you in person, Miss Carmia. I hear your GrubTube channel has been losing subscribers recently. Ooh. Cold. I wonder what that is. Blue hits Ardata's cheeks in an angry flush. I'm currently on hiatus. That old garbage was getting tired. I have so many imitators that my own content is starting to seem derivative. She gives one of her maniacal laughs, but it's a little less robust than usual. Man, the wild tundra of internet fame really is a stark and arid battleground. In fact, I have a new feature in the works as we speak. She holds up a little vial she'd been haggling with the cash register over earlier. Poison. I think the best and most expedient process would just be to dose my feature's guest food and then hide the antidote somewhere in my hive. Unless you have another idea. She smiles, sly and mean. Boldir smiles back, just as vicious. Great, have fun with that. While Boldir talks, her eyes start flickering from you to Ardata and then down, again and again, you, Ardata, and then down. It takes a couple of go-arounds before you realize what she's telling you. She keeps looking down to your hands, which are stuck in your hoodie pocket, exactly where she found the note Boldir slipped you. Ardata is carrying a bag that looks expensive and extremely goth, and you can see where the vial of poison is sticking out. Oh man, you know what you have to do. When a group comes into the shop and pushes past the 3 of you, you move in on Ardata and slip a hand into her bag, palming the smooth, cold vial. She gives you a weird look, like, why are you suddenly all up on me, peon? But she doesn't notice the theft. I suppose I'll be going now. And if I were you, I'd be more mindful of who I choose to associate myself with in the future. You say bye to her, feeling the tiniest bit guilty, but she's planning to use this poison to do murder theater in her prison basement, so you don't feel that bad. Take care now. Ardata leaves, and Boldir takes an inquisitive step closer. Psst, show me. You open your hand to display the spoils, flushed with criminal euphoria. Oh, hell no. You grabbed the wrong fucking vial. This one is blue, not red. You grabbed the antidote, not the poison. God, you honestly thought you were moving past these kinds of cock-ups. Oh, damn. Well, at least you have the antidote now. You never know when one of those might come in handy. She sways forward and clutches at her neck. For one confused second, you think she's doing an impression of someone who might need an antidote. Then she falls to her knees. You dart forward and catch her before she can totally eat it. She's heavier than she looks, compact muscle and a coat full of ungodly number of weapons. She has like 4 guns in here. What the hell? Your arms are full, so you can only watch, helpless as the troll in a hood that covers their face and their horns books it out the door. You shout that some fucker just stabbed your friend, but nobody here's looking at you. It's the same way people on Earth might ignore a mother trying to calm a toddler throwing a tantrum, just turning their eyes away from a distasteful public scene. Ow. Damn it. You put a hand up Bewilder's neck to try to staunch the bleeding, but there isn't any bleeding. Bewildered, you pull apart the labels of her coat to see a single drop of olive blood trembling above her collarbone. Discoloration spreads in a dark spill over her neck and radiating down her chest. You both say it at the same time. Poison. You open your hand to look at the tiny blue vial, then back to Boldir. Her eyes are glassy, her skin going blotchy and ashen. There's no reason to believe that Ardata's poison and the poison the assassin used are the same, with the same antidote. It already strains the powers of coincidence that you grabbed the antidote at all. You're probably right. But maybe you should try it anyway? I can't feel my legs. Right. Maybe the mere fact that this is such an unlikely happenstance means that it will be the right antidote. Everything you've done so far has been the pull of inevitability to it, especially all of your interactions with Boldir. Great. Awesome. I'm glad you're realizing your inherent significance to this particular microcosm of causation. Now can you please pour that stuff in my mouth so I can swallow it and possibly not die? You help Boldir tip her head back and put the vial up to her lips. At the last minute you wonder if it's supposed to be diluted, but Boldir gulps the whole thing down and immediately begins to shake. Smoke billows out her nostrils and open mouth, and holy shit, what is going on? This doesn't seem like any type of antidote to you. But then the smoke clears and Boldir opens up her big yellow eyes. How does she feel? Alive. Marginally. She lets you help her to her feet. You immediately pull her into a fierce yet gentle hug. It's a wild to undergo someone else's near-death experience. You feel like you know her way better than one montage scene's worth. Another new friend. Oof, not so tight. You ease up a little. All the tea sippers are staring at you now. Death apparently isn't interesting, but the possibility of some quadrant-adjacent stuff they're suddenly all about. Sorry, assholes, just you and your new friend sharing a touching near-fatal encounter, nothing to see here. Didn't die! Yay! I love how I did the her dying from the poison scene first, and then talking about all that stuff, and then I chose to go back and do, like, this in what I feels like to me the correct order. That's lovely. Like, they specifically wrote those 2 routes to be, like, almost nearly exactly the same, but just now, by happenstance, your decision to learn pickpocketing, a new skill that you add to your repertoire of your own heart, decided to change the consequences and the choices that you could make to save the day. What a great representation of everything she was talking about. So that was great. Now for the fun part. They intentionally made her very hard to classpect here. So I get how all of the aspects sort of play into her here. A hero of heart, like a symbolic representation of that spiral into the void. There's so much void around her. She does have a little bit of awareness of the meta, and people like to associate with that with time players, but I think not so much. I think any person can have an awareness of the sort of meta of their own internal universe if they just have like enough awareness of their own aspect and they are able to see through it through that lens of their aspect. Like she does it through the lens of heart. She understands that there are so many choices everyone can make in different ways and skills they can learn and how they change and how their heart changes from one way to another, changes the things they can do, so changes the ways they could end up because of the choices. So she definitely like is all about that kind of stuff. And like I used to associate choices with purely like a mind and a mental thing, with heart being sort of like a spasmodic like impulse decision guide, like you just do it because that's who you are. But I can see now that it's still technically part of choices because of just like you make choices based on who you are and what you can do. So it's like it's heart-based choices. So I get that. Yeah, that was a really good route. I would say that's one of the best routes in FriendSim as well. Got me talking a lot, Jesus. But as for class, the only thing that could potentially fit here is Mage. Even if she's just a really adept heart player, like, even if, like, she's having some kind of external influence of a different aspect, like, there's a lot of void around her, and that doesn't exactly, her being a mage of void, or a mage of heart class spec doesn't explain all the void either. But regardless of that, it's the one thing here that fits best with how she perceives and enters heart is mage. So she's almost certainly a mage of heart. And I like that because, again, it's a canon class spec that another character has. It's another nod to, like, hey, I'm not Mulin. I'm also an Olive Blood, though. But I'm also a Mage of Heart. But we're making different choices. We're different people based on different things because we have a different understanding of our class specs, a different understanding of ourselves. So I almost like, again, in this case, that she has a class spec taken by another character because it's another indication that just because they have similar things about them doesn't mean they're the same people or will make the same choices. And that kind of honestly maybe solidifies Stelsia's class spec as a Knight of Blood for me. Because again, if you do Boldir's route first and then you do Stelsa's, oh geez, it's like super obvious that she's a Knight of Blood, that she could be a Knight of Blood. Like, damn, I really like this. This was a good route. They're really ending strong. Like, I don't know how many more routes they have left to release, but they are ending strong. And she did kind of mention that she wants to talk to you before the end, so this might be the last one. I don't know. I was kind of expecting another one to come out this weekend, because this was technically last week's Hiveswap FriendSim thing, but it didn't. I didn't see anything about a Hiveswap 14, so I mean, this might be the last one. It is an interesting number to end on, too. It's the 13th one. Like, you usually have your trolls in groups of 12, but then, like, the external, like, extra 13th one, that was... It's kind of like how the Zodiac, how they say there's a 13th sign of Ophiuchus, and those are associated with, Calliope and Caliborn, and again, she has all that stuff, like, she has in common with Calliope. So that's really neat. I figured there would be 18 routes for all of the Troll Call. There's a Volume 14 next week? Okay. So maybe they just decided to do something kind of special and extraneous with the 13th one, because that was, like, the appropriate place to do that. Cool. Alright, so that's the end of that one. I'm definitely going to be posting, oh, right, I didn't even post the video for my last FriendSim on YouTube yet. Okay, so I'm definitely going to be posting all these on YouTube. They'll be doing 18, Volume 18 will be December 7th. Okay. So yeah, that's it for this one. Hope you had a good chat, or, you know, hope you enjoyed listening to me just, like, verbally spew all over the place like Stelsa. Yeah, that's it for this one. Mage of Heart and Knight of Blood. Interesting, interesting, interesting. You guys have a good day.